Hey guys, you're listening to the Shift Training Podcast,
where we talk about personal growth, we talk about mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health, and just overall well-being.
And today we'll be having a discussion about emotional well-being, how important that is, and some of the different things that help us improve our emotional well-being. So are we ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get going. So the first thing we're going to end up talking about is, I guess, the value of emotional well-being. So Vaughn, what's the value of emotional well-being?
I think the value of emotional well-being is crucial. It's important. I think it is how you're going to connect with yourself and others in a deeper level. And yeah, I think that you will definitely end up connecting with yourself. But I think just in general,
think about it. It's emotional well-being. Do you want to feel well? Do you want to emotionally be well? I think the value is, simply put, you will feel better more often than not. Like you'll, that's a real. You'll feel better more often than not, and you'll be able to better navigate your emotions. So I think that's the overall value of emotional well-being. What are your thoughts on that?
That's well said. I think we should dive into the subcategory of emotional well-being. We can get started with emotional agility. What's emotional agility, Coach Law?
It's how well you do the navigating, dodging the emotions. No, I'm just kidding. Don't dodge your emotions. You need to be present with them, be aware of them. But emotional agility is how agile can you be when change occurs. So when something unexpected happens or something you're not really planning on, anything that might trigger you, throws you off your game, how agile can you be? And emotional agility is the key factor in being able to be agile in those situations.
This reminds me of the quote by Viktor Frank, and I think Susan David used this quote a lot. And it says, so I'm going to be paraphrasing, between the space and the stimulus, there's a space, and that space is your ability to, react properly in the right way.
Right. Yeah. So stimulus and response. Yeah.
Exactly. Because most people, in general, I've noticed that they always in a reactive mode instead of detaching themselves and really see what's happening, what's going on.
Right. Take a second to take inventory. And I think that's an important skill. Like, the better you get at creating more space. So let's say in the beginning, you create a rule where you're like, okay, my rule is when something happens and I want to instantly scream or yell, I'm going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And maybe in that 5 seconds, you decide I'm not going to scream, but maybe you still scream. So after you've got 5 down for whatever your rule or response is, maybe it's before I grab that cookie or whatever it is, I'm going to count to 5. And maybe in there you can fit a question like, do I really have to eat this cookie to be happy?
That's right. Yeah, it's definitely a skill when it comes to becoming emotionally agile. Yeah, let's say you're overthinking. I think there's 2 ways of overthinking. There's healthy and unhealthy way. Like you said, grabbing that healthy food or not. So.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, it's a skill, so we can build upon that. We can get better at it. So if, like I said in the beginning, you start with 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, you can wait a day. You know what? I'm going to get back to you on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go process how I feel. I'm going to ask myself some questions and see where that resistance is coming up within myself and why whatever the heck it was you said or did made me feel that way or react that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it could work as well with, if you're really interested in this guitar, sometimes it's so nice, so amazing, you're just fascinated by the way it looks. It's just so cool. Sometimes you just gotta wait maybe a day, and maybe I don't really like this guitar, maybe, it can't be just impulsively buying.
Spend it. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Right. Same thing with buying food or jewelry shopping. Any type of shopping where you're just impulsively spending, that's obviously going to hurt your financial health or bother you. There's something going on there, and it's going to make a nasty little loop. Cool. So yeah, anything else about emotional agility?
I think that's it. I think it's a good segue for emotional granularity.
Ooh, dang. Fire. So tell us a little bit about emotional granularity, Ron.
Okay, so from what I've learned so far, is this the word from Brené Brown that she recently invented, or has been out there?
It's been out for a little bit, but I think Brene Brown, when she references it, I'm sure she's come across it in her own research, her own study stuff, but also she's not the only one that uses it. I think one of the people who's popularized that is Lisa Feldman Barrett.
Oh,
yeah. So her book, How Emotions Are Made.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you sure that's the right book?
I think that's the right book. I'm pretty sure that's the right book, How Emotions Are Made.
I see. All right. Yeah. So from my understanding with emotional granularity is basically there's a study in that book where it all boils down to 3 emotions that most people use, which is angry or pissed off, mad, and happy, and then sad. So when it comes to emotional granularity, so let's use angry as an example. Usually that is a secondary emotion that you feel. Maybe what you really feel is disappointed or lost, frustrated. So that's what basically means from what I remember.
Yeah, or afraid. The anger being a secondary response, like, oh, I feel this feeling, like maybe I feel disappointed, I feel let down, I feel betrayed. So I will now respond with anger. So maybe like I said, I think the study was something like most Americans, and those are the 3 words or 3 expressions. So the way that I think about it, or an example I would give is think about what you say you feel the most. Oh, I know people who say this all the time. Man, I feel so tired. And they say that all the time. And I'm like, okay. And then they start describing or talking to me about something else. And really it's like, maybe you're tired, but physical tiredness, like you can address that with some physical health, some diet stuff. You can boost your energy. You can totally have higher levels of energy. But if tired is always your response for maybe I'm uninspired, or I don't feel like what I'm doing is meaningful or valuable, or literally feel disconnected, or I feel lost, and you just say, yeah, I'm tired. Or maybe you're stressed out.
Right.
And there's different levels and different things to say about stress, but maybe you're really overwhelmed. You're just overwhelmed. No matter what you do, you're burning more energy than your body can create or produce, like more than you can actually generate. And that would lead you to be like, okay, because of the overwhelm, my energy level is always down. Yeah, I'm tired, right? Yeah. But a lot of times we say, oh, these 2 or 3 things are always how I feel, and fail to realize the other things that are actually going on. And we wonder why we can't navigate out of it. It's because we don't actually look at what's going on. We don't have the words.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes we're maybe just sleep deprived all the time, That's so hard for us, so hard for our brain to function when we're in that state. So yeah, so I think it's very important to know the right words. So I think the emotional granularity will help us express the right emotion.
Absolutely. And I think the way that we even get to being able to work on our emotional granularity is one, Vaughn, I think you have a great example for this, which is looking up synonyms of the feeling.
Yes.
I know Susan David, she puts up great posts on Instagram where it's like an umbrella. So it'll say like sad, and underneath it, it'll say various other feelings that are under that. And you can kind of look at it and go, actually, I feel more of this one, not per se, just generally sad.
100%.
Yeah. Another way to actually do that, or what's necessary, I think, for you to even build that, is emotional awareness. You need to become aware of your feelings and your emotions. So what are the feelings, the physical sensations that you're feeling in your body? And what are the emotions? So when you feel these feelings, how do you express it? Or how do you process that this is what I'm feeling, or this is the energy that I'm emoting, energy, emotion that I'm expressing to other people or to myself? What is that? And you have to become aware of, when I feel this, I express this. When I feel this, the emotion I perceive or take on is this.
So it starts from the body first. You feel it, and then it's up to you to what emotion that you put out there.
Absolutely. At least that's what a lot of what I've been learning, a lot of the different studies and things, the research is looking like, or at least for the most part, it's looking like, look, when you feel something, there's a response in your body. So it's like a loop, a nice little loop. But for the most part, nervous system knows this: safe, unsafe. What happened? Something happened, made you feel unsafe. Why? Because something in your past, some trauma or whatever, has decided, or it's been ingrained in your body. Hey, yo, this is unsafe. I now feel uncomfortable. I now feel scared. I now feel this. Release those chemicals. Feel it in your body. Rev it up. Now, body, we do X program that's in our brain.
And most people don't realize that they have to sometimes face that and really understand it, because sometimes it's so easy to just avoid that. And then you become, get stuck in this loop, right?
Right. And it's one of those things where it's like, one of my favorite sayings, when I say favorite with heavy sarcasm. I really don't like to hear people say this. It's just the way that I am.
Whoa.
It's one of my least favorite, just one of my least favorite phrases. How did you get to be that way?
Oh. There
are very few things. There's a handful of things. They have the whole nature nurture argument. I don't care about that. I'm not doing any of that. What I find interesting is the amount of people who have adapted, overcome, or shed whatever they learned when in their youth. So you can say, I've always been like this since I was little. Why? You learn that. You learn that to survive and adapt in the environment that you were born into, where you lived. Now, if you kept carrying it and you were in a new environment, but you kept saying, this is how I am, you took something that was a state, you needed to exist. You needed that state to exist, like constantly being stressed out and not knowing what to do with yourself when you're at peace and everything's tranquil and there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
So used to the cortisol, you need that stress. You need to feel like something's going on. You could choose to not live in that state. Sometimes we repeat a state so often it becomes a trait, and then we take it on as part of our identity, and we say, that's just the way I am. And it's like,
instead of just it's being just a state, but they adapted that since they were young, then it becomes a trait.
Right. Just like with anything you practice for long enough, you can say, oh, this is just how I am.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would say to Usain Bolt, you're just made that way. Yeah. You that's just how you are. You're just fast.
Comes a fixed mindset. Right?
Yeah, fixed mindset. Yeah, and that's a trap. So it's one of my least favorite things, simply because to say so means that you don't believe in your ability to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so important to understand that, and do some reflection when you feel a visceral, sensation in your body, because you can't really overcome things on the things that you don't understand, Right.
You need to be able to at least see it.
See it, yeah.
Acknowledge it a little bit, and then try to gain some clarity around it. And that's the value of emotional awareness. It helps you go from, I do not see a way out, and this is just how I am, to I'm starting to better understand more about myself that I never knew. I'm learning that I can make changes in my life. I feel empowered to actually work on my emotional granularity. I feel capable of creating change in my life. Feel capable, therefore believe it as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many of you guys believe something that you don't feel? Like in your body, you feel something against it, but you still believe it. That's not common. There's few cases like that, but I would say for most people, usually when we say we believe something, we also feel it too.
Well, what if that person is like, he doesn't believe, he doesn't feel it, but in his mind, I believe in myself.
That's part of it. They might be in a state where you're working towards it.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. That's an okay.
Yeah.
But as long as you're progressively working on it, then eventually that feeling will become.
You will feel it.
Yeah.
Because you'll do the work to make sure that you believe it. Because we tend to fight for the things that we want to believe. Even if we think they're wrong to some degree, or we feel like they're wrong, we will fight to make sure that we feel like it's true.
Is that like kind of like fake it like until you make it?
I think it's kind of like that. The fake it till you make it is a whole nother discussion. That's just something else. But in terms of being able to, again, guys, you have to have some level of emotional awareness, or try to build that. And one thing that helps you do that, and vice versa, they help each other, is emotional granularity. And then we talk a little bit about emotional intelligence. We talked a lot about that. In the starting days of Shift, we talk a lot about emotional intelligence.
Right.
And it's important to understand that the whole like self-awareness element, self-management, relationship, have awareness of that, and relationship management, and having that social awareness, so awareness of others. And again, that still boils down to just being aware. And how do you navigate being aware? And I think that's where the emotional agility comes in. So we have, in terms of developing or getting better with your emotional well-being, if you want to feel better and have the ability to navigate difficult situations more successfully than not and benefit from them versus just being torn down from them, but actually benefit from them, you're going to need to work on that emotional awareness, the emotional granularity, put that stuff into practice, make some choices about differences in how you want to behave and respond. And that's your emotional agility. Create the space for you to even present yourself with questions or different options than your initial reaction. Instead of letting your nervous system take over and say, hey, we're gonna lose our mind right now. Go, do it. You'll feel better after. It's like, not really, you won't. It'll probably create more chaos than you want. Just sit with it and learn from it and be present.
Right. Yeah. I think great practice is stillness. Sometimes you just gotta sit down in your room or in the nature. Nature, I think, is a better option because you could really be talking to yourself.
Yeah. Cool. So, do you have any other thoughts on emotional well-being that we should cover?
Then that's it. I think the one that pops out of my mind is that quote from, I forgot who it was. He says on the quote, we're not thinking machines, we are feeling machines.
Oh, Brene Brown's one of my favorite ones. I got you on this one. Okay, bet. So the quote is, she says it, and I heard her say it on the HBO Max. And I don't know if it's an Atlas of the Heart. I don't remember. If it was an Atlas of the Heart, it didn't hit me as hard as it did when I watched it on HBO Max. And she said, we like to walk around thinking that we're thinking machines, but we're feeling machines that think. Okay. Yeah. So that's important to realize. And that's so true on so many levels. If you understand a little bit about human biology and what kinds of things happen in our body and the chemicals that get released, and this is a whole little factory. That's a whole factory. Our bodies are whole factories that make chemicals and all kinds of stuff to make sure we feel stuff and therefore behave a certain way. If you couldn't feel any pain, imagine how differently you would think.
No. That's interesting.
And therefore how differently you would behave. Wow. But feeling pain or those types of things are what keep us alive.
Wow.
That's what helps us learn.
That's true. Especially when you said the pain. And then without that pain, how are we going to think?
Oh man, we'll probably think all kinds of crazy stuff and justify it because that would be if we're thinking machines. And it's proof that we're not thinking machines because it's not our thoughts that always lead us. It's more commonly than not our feelings and then our thoughts that justify how we felt. Anyways, guys, so emotional well-being, emotional granularity, emotional intelligence, emotional agility, emotional awareness, all that stuff if you want to feel better and be able to better navigate your feelings and also your connections with other people. If you can't process your own feelings and emotions, I think the other one from Brene Brown was, and she's not the only one I've heard say this, but basically you can't connect with anybody deeper than the level in which you've connected with yourself. Bless you, Vaughn.
Gracias.
Okay. Anything else, Vaughn? Are we good?
That's it. I think that quote, it's a good ending.
All right, we're done. All right, thank you guys for watching. Again, please subscribe, like, follow, rate, review, comment, all that good stuff. It helps us, and we really appreciate your feedback. I guess that's it.
That's it. Have a wonderful day.
Peace.